On humanism. In the questionnaire that you answered before we started this workshop, you were asked, how do you define a human being? Amongst your answers were the human being as a biological being, an animal, more vague, some vague being, an entity or soul, religious definition, in the image of God, a being with feelings, kindness, empathy, compassion, defined by morals or virtues or intelligence, a social, and lastly, a social, cultural, and historical being. So many diverse definitions. Let's look at them one by one. The physical definition. One of the most famous Greek philosophers, Aristotle, described the human being as the rational animal. First and foremost, an animal. We can still hear this definition around today in social media in relation to gender issues. But what does it mean in practice? If I am a body, if I cut off an arm, am I still human? Is the arm still human? We could continue removing limbs until only the brain remains. Or we might conclude that the brain is the essence of the human. And in science fiction, and according to what some thinkers state today, that possibly we could move the consciousness from the body, from the brain, to a supercomputer. Would that uploaded mind still be human? These questions point out how complex the issue really is. The definition, human being as an entity, as a soul, is a different definition that's difficult to pin down. It's something apart from the body that, as a soul, it would live on forever. There is no real proof of any of this, and for sure, much can be attributed to the creativity of the human being, the human consciousness. The eternal character of the soul might, on the other hand, be an expression of the last definition, the human being as a social and historical being, a part of us that continues with other people. The emotional definition, feelings connect us to our environment. They help us navigate relationships and the world around us. But are feelings uniquely human? I think not. I sometimes think that dogs are actually more advanced in this regard. They show and share their emotions far more freely and truly than most people. So if we are looking for what sets humans apart from other animals, feelings may not be the most helpful definition. Regarding the religious definition, some traditions say that humans are made in the image of God. Others turn the phrase around to suggest that humans created God in their own image. In this context, I'm not sure that joining that particular debate helps us much in defining what a human being is. Later on in another series of workshop, we will look at humanism and religion side by side. That should be interesting both for people of faith and for atheists or agnostics. The atheists, in my mind, have not always done a convincing job of explaining why religion remains so alive and powerful, almost 150 years after Nietzsche proclaimed that God was dead. Regarding the moral and ethical definition, I would say there seems to be something there, part of makes us human. We are capable of these things, although we are also capable of monstrosities. Nature is hard and violent, and one might assume that these things are moving us from nature into a human world through moral or ethical development. The last definition, defining the human as a social, cultural, and historical being. This definition places the human being as a consciousness. It is sitting in a body, yes, but it's not defined by its body. As the Argentinian thinker Silo put it, a social and historical being that changes its own nature. This definition is in line with what we have previously discussed in relation to radical epistemology and the possibility of the AI becoming human in some way. We are the accumulation of human experience, and our action can contribute to this experience. Even though this is a term that's coined, it's made in Europe, it is interesting. You can find thinkers and periods in different times in all cultures that could be defined as humanistic. Historically, I would like to talk about three types of humanism. The first one we would call classical humanism, which is kind of a movement that was that sprung within Christianity. It's rooted in the Renaissance revival of Greco-Roman culture. It's focused on human dignity, rationality, and education. It saw humans as capable of shaping the world through learning and virtue. Secular humanism, which is about less than 200 years old, it's non-religious, based on reason, science, and human responsibility. It's often tied to atheism or agnosticism, affirming ethics, morals, without its godly origin. Thirdly, I would like to talk about universal humanism, developed by Mario Rodrigo Cobo Silo in the late 20th century. He defines the human being as a social and historical being who transforms their own nature, emphasizes nonviolence, freedom, equality, and meaning-making. That sort of humanism values diversity and interconnectedness of all cultures and peoples. I have sent a couple of comparisons of these three forms, these three expressions of humanism, to our WhatsApp group for you to look at. The question I would like you to consider are two. One, looking at the different types of humanism, what can you take from it that speaks to you personally? And secondly, do you think humanism in some form is required or helpful in today's world? And if so, why? Thanks a lot. Look forward to seeing you on Saturday.